The devil's on the loose and he's dancing with the money.
Deep from the bowels of the Macabre Theater Laboratory, we bring you Macabre Cast. There is nothing wrong with your streaming service. You are exactly where you should be, where the slush puppy machine is always on and cold. Your favorite horror mag is on the rack, discreetly placed between Women's Wear Daily and Cosmopolitan. I'm your host, Dark Mark, along with my embalmed counterpart, Karis the Little Mummy, here to bring you the latest episode of Macabre Cast, where we'll be dropping R's where they belong and adding them where they don't. Yeah! This is a safe space for Gen X who still refer to murder victims as having been murdered, not unalived, as Gen Z say. Newbies welcome, regulars welcome back, and worshippers, if you could please take a seat in waiting room B. If you haven't already, click that subscribe button and tell a friend to do the same. Even that guy who couldn't take a subtle hint that wasn't smacked over his head with a large polo mallet. Yeah, that guy. If you wish to interact with fellow Awesome Sauce Monster Kids, follow the Facebook page, Macabre Theater. It's there where you can send me a voice message through Messenger and become part of the show. Come on, at some point, you have to stop being a sissy. A link to the page can be found in the description of this episode. Macabre Cast, episode 135, begins now.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Adoro il cast macabro.
Faux horror, Karis.
Folk horror?
Faux horror.
Well, what about it?
That's the topic this week. These days it seems like, they're calling everything folk horror. And I want the Monster Kids to tell me, what do they think folk horror is? And what are some of their folk horror film favorites?
Wow, this sounds like a humdinger. I asked the gym teacher if he could teach me to do splits.
You asked a gym teacher if he could teach you to do splits? And what did he say?
Well, he asked me how flexible I was, so I told him I'm pretty flexible. I just can't make it on Tuesdays.
And on that note, it's time for horror news.
Life's river showers, she said, open only the strong shall spray. She said, but I'm feeling quite weak. She said.
The creators have been tight-lipped on the storyline of the upcoming Peacock series Crystal Lake, but promised the fans there will be rivers of blood. Let's hope, huh? Republic Pictures has picked up the rights to the third Orphan film, and it's set to be titled Orphans. I've never even seen the first one yet, and unfortunately, I know the twist. Oh. Osgood Perkins' new film, Keeper, came and went quickly from theaters, and if you missed it, fear not, as of last week, it's available to watch on Amazon. The Burbs hit comedy film is getting its own TV series, coming to Peacock February 8th. Don't look for Tom Hanks, though. I don't think he's anywhere to be found.
Run, Forrest, run! Run, Forrest!
And that's it for horror news.
She said.
And Draven agrees. Draven the blood-vomiting bat.
Children of the night, what music they make.
So, according to Google, folk horror is a subgenre that uses folklore, paganism, ancient beliefs, and ritual settings, often focusing on clashes between modern outsiders and insular communities with dark traditional customs. So is Pet Sematary folk horror? Well, it has folk horror elements. But here are some guarantees. The Ritual, The Witch, Midsommar, Blair Witch Project, Hereditary, The Wicker Man. And I'm kind of all over the place like this because I hate The Witch. I think it's a terrible film. Blair Witch Project was good when it came out at the time. It was something very different, very new. I don't know that I could sit through that whole movie ever again. The Ritual was okay. Midsommar I liked, but as we know, many do not. Hereditary I really like. We know that's a black page in Scary Larry's book. The Wicker Man I've never been a fan of. There's stuff about it I like. Of course, it has Christopher Lee, but it's a bizarre movie. And I know that's a big Grim Kim favorite. So I don't know. I'm kind of, I am a little all over the map with folk horror.
What you talking about, Willis?
And speaking of folk horror, horrible mention. This week's horrible mention is 1971's The Blood on Satan's Claw, directed by Piers Haggard. Full title, awesome poster. The film itself, meh. This film was rated R. Why? Jaws was PG, and that came 4 years later. This film moves so slow. And it's not because it's building suspense. Oh no, trust me, there isn't an ounce of suspense anywhere. In fact, as much as this movie wants to be, it's not scary at all. A bunch of kids performing rituals in the name of Satan that can and has been terrifying when executed properly. The reviews for this poo parade float are all great. What am I missing? I give this reprehensible piece of yellow-colored phlegm 1 out of 5 stars. And the 1 star is for its poster. 1971's The Blood on Satan's Claw is this week's mention.
Oh my gosh. Does that suck?
I hope somebody drops the name of a folk horror film this week that I didn't mention or that I didn't even think or realize was folk horror that I loved, because this is too mixed. There's a couple that I like, but the majority I don't really care for, and maybe folk horror is just not for me.
Hey, Doc Mark, Little Karis, and all the Monster Kids hang out at the theater this week. It's Horror Chat Matt checking in. So, Dark, this week's topic is folk horror, and I'm about to say another one of my controversial statements. Not my favorite genre at all. Probably one of my least favorite horror genres that there are. I don't really find them that entertaining. I usually find them quite boring. And as far in my definition of a folk horror movie, basically it takes place in the woods, usually involves a ritual of some sort. Not much tends to happen, maybe a little bit of body horror, generally having to deal with witches and curses, and I don't know. It's just not my cup of tea. If you like it, I'm happy for you. But yeah, I'd rather watch just about almost any other type of horror movie there is than folk horror. So much so that I don't even have a favorite to suggest, because Yeah, I just don't. Sorry. I'm going to go back to last week's subject and talk a little bit more about Stranger Things now that people have had a chance to watch the 4 episodes that have come out. Not that I'm going to spoil anything, but I noticed a couple of connections, or Easter eggs, or nods to other franchises in these 4 episodes. And my wife was getting quite annoyed with me because in the second episode, let me know if you thought this as well. When they were at Hawkins Memorial Hospital, they basically used the same logo that they use in Halloween 2 for Haddonfield Memorial Hospital, the HMH. And what really solidified this for me was at the end of episode 2, they played a very familiar song that you will probably recognize from Halloween 2, and that's Mr. Sandman. I've looked online. I haven't been able to find anybody saying that this is a definitive nod towards Halloween 2, but it's got to be. What do you think? And then the other one, which I guess so much time had passed, I had forgotten about this, is right away, it's such a unique playground across the street from Holly's house. I forgot that this playground was also featured in season 4. Like I said, it's been a long time. But once I saw that metal rocket slide, it immediately made me think of Wes Craven's A New Nightmare, when Nancy's son is playing on top of it and you worry that he's going to fall off. And I did look that one up, and while it's not the exact playground, it was inspired by it. So 1 for 2, but I think I'm 2 for 2 on those Easter eggs. I guess that's about it for this week, Dark. I haven't watched any new horror movies, and I certainly don't plan on watching any folk horror movies coming up. As always, make mine Macabrecast.
You know, Horror Chat, I did pick up on the Halloween 2 stuff and Stranger Things. I did not mention it last week. But who cares what's being said around the internet? Most people are just, stuff goes right over their head. That was a 100% mention of Halloween 2 from the Haddonfield Memorial Hospital sign, definitely to Mr. Sandman. I think at this point, anytime I even hear that song, I think of Halloween 2. I don't even associate it with the genre of music it comes from. I immediately just chalk that up to the Halloween 2 soundtrack. As always, Horror Chat, so great to hear from you, even when you don't care too much for the topic. And we hope to hear from you again next week.
Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Make him the cutest that I've ever seen. Give him 2 lips like roses.
Don't miss a night of tribute to 2 departed rock legends. Blizzard of Oz, the ultimate exaltation of Ozzy Osbourne and Randy Rhoads in an unforgettable time gone by. Don't wait, as tickets are selling fast. Blizzard of Oz, live at the Blue Ocean Music Hall in Salisbury, Mass. Saturday, January 10th, 2026.
Special guest, the Lords of Salem.
The more I go over these guidelines for folk horror, what about the Wolfman? Right? Is the original Lon Chaney Jr. Wolfman, is that folk horror? Because it's folklore. You have like the whole rituals thing and turns into a wolf. That could be folklore, I guess, right? He's becoming a wolf and he's going around tearing people up. So, I don't know. Maybe everything is folk horror. I don't know.
Did he unalive them?
Shut up!
Fine, stomp all over my feelings.
Is this something you could share with the rest of us, Amazing Larry?
Greetings, Dark Mark and Karis the Little Mummy. Scary Larry here, playing catch up. Hey, Karis, why did the Scarecrow comedian get booed? Well, all his jokes were corny. So last week's topic, all things Stranger Things. I enjoyed the first 3 seasons of the series. However, I had dropped Netflix between season 3 and season 4, and that's as far as I got. Folk horror to me is horror based on some type of folklore or old superstitions. One of the best was the original Wicker Man, not the mess that Nicolas Cage put out. A few of my favorites: Serpent and the Rainbow, an underrated classic by Wes Craven that I feel deserves a deep dive. Hint, hint, Dark. Rare Exports, that both Dark and I have reviewed in previous episodes. Children of the Corn is another example. Now, There's Something in the Barn and Krampus are 2 I'd recommend as your viewing challenge this Christmas, especially Krampus. I have remarked that I hadn't enjoyed a holiday monster movie that good since Gremlins. Which leads me to this week's review. My buddy and I went and caught Predator Badlands. I'd call this a standalone story since it focuses more on the Predator clan and what it takes to be in it. No humans in this, but human cyborgs along the lines of the Alien movies, where they're loyal to a corrupt corporation. A good sci-fi horror movies with mixes of humor. Although it's not in the horror realm of the original Predator or Alien vs. Predator Requiem, so I have to take a point off. I give this movie 2 3/4 stars. Definitely one you can wait on for streaming.
Glad to have you fully back, Scary. Reviews, jokes, and all.
Yes, Scary, I hope you're settled in your new hometown and you're starting to get comfortable. I never was much of a Wicker Man fan, and I've said this before, not the original, not the remake. I love Christopher Lee, but even he couldn't save that one for me. And I was always more of an Alien fan than a Predator fan. I don't believe I ever saw past Predator 2. I think I saw part of one of the Alien vs. Predator films, but something about it just seemed weird. And yes, you're 100% right. All these movies that keep popping up that I guess I just wasn't thinking of as folk horror, but The Serpent and the Rainbow. And, Scary Larry, ask and you shall receive. Deep, death, dive. This week's Deep Death Dive is 1988's The Serpent and the Rainbow, directed by Wes Nightmare on Elm Street Craven and starring Bill Pullman and Kathy Tyson. Wes Craven decided to give his take on the zombie genre, but not in a Romero way. In 1929, William Seabrook penned a nonfiction book titled The Magic Island, an early account of Haitian voodoo. This inspired the Bela Lugosi film from 1932, White Zombie. These type of zombies are remotely different from the flesh-ripping zombies that dominated the silver screen throughout the 70s and 80s. Then in 1982, Wade Davis published a nonfiction book called Passage of Darkness. Davis, an ethnobotanist, traveled to the Haitian countryside to investigate true tales of real-life zombies. The book details his research into actual powders that were used to create zombie-like states through neurotoxins much like tetrodotoxin from pufferfish. 6 years later, in 1988, Wes Craven, who scared a whole generation with the likes of a child-molesting murderer named Freddy, made a film based on that book called, yeah, you guessed it, The Serpent and the Rainbow. It would be more fair to say that the movie is loosely based on the Wade Davis book. In order to make a hit movie, a little sensationalism is in order. Of course, Arthur Davis criticized the film, saying Craven reinforced stereotypes he aimed to dispel. Dramatized it with fictional scenarios of Davis's character played by Bill Pullman, like having him get arrested by secret police and being buried alive, none of which happened to the real-life author. Filmed on location in Haiti, some authentic cultural practices made it to the film. At one point, a producer was actually doused with hallucinogenic drugs, leading to bizarre behavior. Another play on art imitating life or vice versa. Many have asked, what exactly does the title mean, The Serpent and the Rainbow? In the context of mythology, it represents the connection between the earth, that being the serpent, and heaven, that being the rainbow, symbolizing creation, life, and regeneration. Here, a man who is allegedly turned into a zombie, his struggle is between life and death, science and belief, order and chaos. So how do the zombies in the Wes Craven film differ from George Romero's? Well, we can assume by dialogue in the original Night of the Living Dead that the explosion of a satellite caused the resurrection of the dead, who not only returned from the beyond, but had an insatiable desire for human flesh. The story, coming out of Haiti, was that the powder made with pufferfish toxins were being used to induce a death-like coma. A toad venom mixed with a type of plant was used later to make the victim compliant, which allowed them to be buried and then resurrected, convincing the victim that they were a living dead slave. Truly dreadful and nightmarish. The plot of the movie is about an American pharmaceutical company that hires Dennis Allen, played by Bill Pullman, to find a substance for use as a surgical anesthetic. This leads him to the dark world of voodoo. There was political strife and civil turmoil in Haiti in 1985, and the local government informed the film crew that they could not guarantee their safety. Wes Craven once stated that this was one of his only films that was given an R rating by the MPAA on the first cut. And he proved to Hollywood he didn't need a glove with finger knives to be scary. Deep, death, dive. So, Karis, as you know, I don't always get to see all these new movies when they come out right away, and sometimes I fall a little bit behind.
Monster Kid's bailing you out and reviewing everything for you.
But after the low-key Christmas show, yeah, I'll be calling it the low-key Christmas show this year, because anytime I call anything big, the big Halloween show, the big Christmas show, the viewership drops. So a little bit of child psychology, like Ginny uses at the end of Friday the 13th Part 2, the low-key Christmas and the low-key New Year's show. But at the low-key New Year's show, we'll probably have people call in what they thought their best and worst of 2025, like we would always do. And that works as a reminder, too, for all the ones I forgot and didn't see. But that being said, Maria Monstalia, who we haven't heard from in a while and keeps all our Italian friends abreast of Macabrecast, wants to give her review on Longlegs, which is one I, at this point, had forgotten about. I know Chicago Tina wasn't crazy about it, but I have still yet to sit down and see it. And here is Maria Monstalia with her take on Longlegs.
Yeah, our Italian Catholic girl. It has been a long time.
She's just a devil woman with evil on her mind. Beware the devil woman, she's gonna get you.
Nicolas Cage fans would enjoy watching Longlegs. He portrays a satanic and bizarre-looking serial killer. Very creepy. An FBI agent unravels some dark evidence about him that is linked to her past. Cage can take a character to the next level and just leave you in awe. For me, he did exactly that. What a performance.
So great hearing from you once again, Maria Monstalia, and we hope to hear from you again real soon. Keep in mind that Christmas and New Year's episode.
Hey, you ever wish you were the coolest monster kid on the street? Now you can be. Macabrecast shirts, beanies, and now Java mugs. Message Doc for Venmo info.
You, want I should wash the dead bugs off the windshield?
Hey, Dark Mark and Karis, the little mummy. I'm calling today to weigh in on the topic of folk horror. Okay. First, let me give you my definition of folk horror. I believe folk horror is a film that is about a tale or a legend that is passed down over the years, and then people decide to revisit it, and they get themselves into trouble. That's generally what I think folk horror is. And it could be, or it could be about, a certain legend or a tale itself. With that said, I want to tell you something. You're not going to like it, but my favorite folk horror film is The Blair Witch Project. Now, as a qualifier, I'd like to just say that I saw that movie the weekend it came out, and it was such a big deal because everywhere where I went, people were fighting over it. It was real, it wasn't real. It was like that big controversy of the woman with the black and silver dress or the gold and white dress. People had very divided opinions on the movie, and people really believed it was real. I was disappointed to find out that it wasn't real, but I don't trust anything like that anyway. So but I was disappointed. But I loved that movie, and I loved it because of what it meant to me, as far as how it made me look at horror films. And after that, everything after that, I never wanted to spoil things for people. I always thought that you should go into a film and not know anything about it as the best way to enjoy something. Another movie like that was came out around the same time was the movie The Others. But I'm not going to tell you about that because it's got a big twist in the middle, and I don't spoil it for anybody. So there. Anyway, so another folk horror film that I love is The Legend of Hell House. That one I recommend if you 70s. And it was a really good film. And that's about all I have to say. I haven't seen anything in the last couple of weeks because I've been busy, but I'll get back to you guys next time I see something that I have to share. All right, so I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.
I did not see The Blair Witch in the theater, but the internet was still in its infancy. So when I saw it on home video, it's not like I knew if it was real or wasn't. And I saw it with Laura Horror at night with all the lights off and surround sound, and I found it really scary. Not really rewatchable, though. I must have seen it a second time, maybe a third, but was not the same. It was the best marketing campaign ever. And, maybe the internet was in its infancy, but I'm sure the computer geeks, they were all over it at the time, and they knew, and they spread the word. But yeah, probably the best movie marketing I've ever seen, and to this day included. I don't think they could top that because it was just a period of time. A period of time with new technology, and they utilized it big time.
Don't touch that dial, monster kids.
Yeah, you don't know where it's been.
Pipe down. It's almost time for the final thought.
Not quite, bro. Not before. Cobwebbed classics.
Ooh, yeah. Cobwebbed classics.
Welcome to Cobwebbed Classics, where I dust off a lost, forgotten, or just plain unappreciated film and introduce it to, or maybe just remind you about it, so your spooky Saturday night might run a little creepier. The classic is 1932's White Zombie, directed by Victor Halperin, starring Bela Lugosi, Madge Bellamy, and Joseph Cawthorn.
Haiti, land of the voodoo, comes the most infamous cult of all. Bela Lugosi as Murder Legendre.
I see death.
Master of the undead damned. The sinister power behind the White Zombie. The soul killer takes men from their graves to be his slaves, his instruments of terror, and now this fiend plots to possess a woman.
Keep it. You may change your mind.
Not dead. Are you mad?
Mindless creatures carry out his cursed will. Terror explodes in horror and heartquake.
Zombie! Allez, allez!
Never eyes so evil. Never powers so potent. Never magic so black. Bela Dracula Lugosi as the master of the White Zombie.
Based on the nonfiction book by William Seabrook titled The Magic Island, White Zombie tells the tale of a man who seeks the help of a witch doctor to lure a woman away from her fiancé, only for her to be turned into a zombie slave. Lugosi's role as Legendre is in his top 3 performances of all time: Dracula, Igor, and Legendre. The black and white cinematography and the graininess of this film add to its haunted atmosphere. According to his son, this film was a personal favorite of Lugosi's. White Zombie is believed to be the first film to identify its antagonists as zombies. It was shot on a shoestring budget in 11 days. Black actors were used, but there are also white actors in blackface. Taglines for this gem are as follows:
The dead walk among us. Stranger things are happening than you've ever dreamed of. See them dug from the grave and put to work as slaves to murder.
1932's White Zombie is this week's
Cobwebbed Classics.
Oh boy, he's been unalived.
Will you shut up with your nonsense?
Your Neanderthal thinking is upsetting to me. I'll just go where I'm understood.
Another planet, I hope.
The following program is rated TV MALV. It contains strong language and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Hello, Doc Mock, Cara's Little Mummy, and all the Macabre cast fans listening in. It is Metal Melody checking in to say hello and to see or say what's been going on. First of all, great episode, Mark 134. I can't wait for Stranger Things. Hello. The Strangers Chapter 3 to come out. I believe you said it was in February. I know it's very soon. I'm excited about that to see what the conclusion is from Chapter 2. What the hell's his name? Mulcahy Culkin, whatever the hell he is. Seriously? A Home Alone 3? Come on now. That's... Unless it's his kid and he's like, one of the parents, okay, but not interested. No, thank you. I have not been to the movies to see anything. I have been watching, of course, Stranger Things, which is over now, and I have to agree. I'm glad they're doing it the way they do it. I think our chap Matt said it'd be better. He'd like it if it was released like once a week, which I get because there have been so many spoilers online and it's really hard to stay offline to see them. However, we have waited long enough. So I'm glad they're dropping it like this because I'd probably strangle myself if I had to wait every freaking week for an episode to come out. So I like the way they're doing it with the 4 episodes and then the next 3, I think 4 or 3, and then the one on New Year's Eve and Christmas Day. Like, I like it. I like the way they're doing it. Let me see, what else? Welcome to Derry. Are you friggin' kidding me? Like, I don't know. This has been one of the best series, besides, of course, Stranger Things. Episode 7, like, oh my gosh, creepy. I loved it. I absolutely loved it at the dark spot. Everything that happened there, and going back to 1908, Pennywise the Dancing Clown, like like how it like went back. The only thing that's like confusing me, well, I guess it's not confusing. If Pennywise was always the dancing clown, didn't the monster, didn't he come from out of space and land in those caves or wherever? And so I didn't understand how, I don't know. That's a little confusing to me, how the two are one. Maybe I'm missing something from the very beginning, I don't know. But episode 7 was lit. That's all I can say. As my daughter would say, it was lit. And I also never knew that there was a play in Chicago called The First Shadow that explains a lot of Stranger Things, because I had many, many questions about how certain things came to evolve. And after TikTok videos and research and stuff on this First Shadow, I got a lot of answers, which was really good. I think that it kind of sucks that in the series they don't have that information, because I never saw the frickin' play. So how was I supposed to know that shit? I don't know it. But I know it now, and it makes a lot of sense, so I'm enjoying it more. That's all. I am actually going to watch The Keeper tonight. Thank you for recommending that. I had no idea this movie was out, unless I overlooked it. I hope everybody's doing well, and talk to you again on episode 136. I really enjoyed 134. Thanks, Mark, for all the information. I can't wait to see you guys all rock at the Blue Ocean in January. I am super frickin' excited. And yes, I curse more when I'm very excited or I'm really pissed off. Those are the two times that I definitely would need the swear jar. Yeah. And that baby's going to be probably busted open by the end of the year. Anyway, I hope y'all doing well. We got one more episode before Christmas, so I'll talk about that stuff then. Everybody have a great week, and I'll talk to you on episode 135 or 136. Bye.
Well, I've said this many times before with the It movies. I don't think they're scary. None of them. Not the original TV show, not the films. But I will say Welcome to Derry is very creepy, very scary, and very gruesome. And I'm loving it. It's better than the films. And honestly, the clown is the disguise of the creature. But sometimes when the disguise is scarier than the creature, that always poses a problem. Osgood Perkins, The Keeper, I really want to see, although it's not getting the feel-good love that The Monkey got. I think that's why I kind of came and went so quickly at the theater. But I'd love to know what you think about it, and I do still plan to see it regardless. I never even knew there was a play for Stranger Things, and I don't think I'd even like that. Although I sat through a 2-hour play with 3 guys it was the making of Jaws, and only had three people in the play. But then again, that was Jaws. Always great to hear from you, Metal Melody, and we hope to hear from you again next week.
Goditi questo episodio de Cast Macabro.
Thank you, Maria Monstalia, for telling our Italian friends to enjoy this episode of Macabre Cast. Algorithm my eye. Every time I title something with the word big in it, the big Halloween show, big Christmas show, big New Year show, the viewership plummets. Why? Who knows? You would think most people would only watch the holiday episodes. Kind of like how half the parishioners only go to Mass on Christmas Eve. Like one last ditch prayer that they get that Nintendo Switch that they wanted so badly. Anyway, I won't stop doing the holiday episodes. I'll just do it differently. So episode 136, which drops only days before Christmas, will now simply be titled Doc Mark's Low-Key, Superfluous Christmas Show. Please don't join me. Go eat a fruitcake. Some of you have probably had a fruitcake eating you for years, but maybe you're happy. If you show up anywhere this festive season, show up with love. Beware the moon. Keep clear of the moors. But most of all, remember, be good to yourself. This is Doc Mark, signing off. See you soon, I hope. This is a Macabre Theater production.
Subscribe.